Good evening. Welcome to the March 18, 2021 meeting of the Mount Juliet Municipal and Regional Planning Commission meeting. As we get our meeting started tonight, I want to review a couple things in lieu of the COVID-19. Start out by letting everyone know that due to the COVID-19 social distance guidelines will be followed. You're required to wear a mask and limitations on the number of people in the building will be maintained. The meeting may be viewed on Comcast Channel 3, TDS Channel 6, live stream from the city's website, and on YouTube at http://tiny.cc/MCJYT. Governor Lee's executive order number 70, limiting the number of persons in the meeting room at one time to 10 persons. Also, as a reminder, public comments on any agenda item or general comments can also be made at http://www.mountjulietcitytn.iqm2.com/citizens, or also by emailing jill.johnson@mountjuliet-tn.gov, or simply by calling 615-754-2552 by 2 p.m. on the date of the Planning Commission meeting, so that being March 18th today. Please also include your address so your comment can be forwarded to the commissioner representing your district. And so with that being said, we will move on to our first agenda item for tonight, and that will be to set the agenda. I am aware of a couple of changes and requests, so bear with me as I go through these. There is a request to move item number 5.8, which is the site plan for the Davis Genecow property located at 808 and 830 North Mount Juliet Road. To move that from the consent agenda to the regular meeting agenda. So we will hear item 5.8 directly at the end of the consent agenda, and the final consent agenda item is 5.12. Also, the other change that second change that I'm aware of is item 6.1, which is review the site plan for Beckwith Station located at 225 Wilfong Parkway, has been deferred per the request of the applicants. We will not be hearing item 6.1 on your current agenda. I also need to add one item to the agenda. We will call it 7.1. And item 7.1 will be to review the zoning ordinance amendment, Article 8, on overlay districts. So once again, on that, to just speak again, we're going to be pulling item 5.8, which is currently on the consent agenda, to the back side of the consent agenda. It will be heard directly after the consent and prior to item 7.1, since item 6.1 was deferred. If you're not confused, then wait until later. We'll help you. Any other changes or adjustments to our agenda? Wonderful. All right. So with that, I'm going to back up for just a brief moment and introduce our newest Planning Commission member. Darren Cunningham is joining us tonight for his first meeting. I believe that Darren was sick last month and was unable to make it, and has just arrived here tonight. I've known Darren for many years and look forward to the value and the information that he is going to bring to the Planning Commission. So I'm going to put you on the spot immediately with that and allow you, Darren, to introduce yourself to everybody. So you have the floor, sir.
Well, guys, I'm Darren Cunningham. I've been a resident here in Mount Juliet since 2005, I think I got here. And I've got a background in real estate and development. And it was a natural progression. I'm always politically involved from the outside looking into things, and it was a natural progression to migrate into this position. So I'm happy to be here, and hopefully my background and insight can be valuable to everybody here and also the residents of Mount Juliet.
Welcome. Welcome. We're happy to have you, Darren. Thank you so much. All right. So, moving forward, our next item on the agenda will be our staff reports. So we will turn it over to Ms. Hamlin.
Thanks. I would also like to extend a welcome to you, Mr. Cunningham, and we're glad to have you on board. I hate to put you on the spot, Miss Weathers, but she has contacted me one day this week about doing a combined continuing education class with the City of Lebanon as well as Wilson County Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals. So if you guys are interested in that, I will team up with Miss Weathers and get something going.
Do it early instead of October?
Yeah, we need to get it done earlier. If you guys remember, we used to do that every year.
Yes.
And it just provides a good opportunity for everybody to get to know each other in similar roles throughout the county and go over what works for them versus what works for us. And I just think it's a great opportunity. I'd like to pick that back up if you guys are interested.
Any issues? Sounds great.
I'll tell her to let us know where to be and when to be there.
Yeah, that is great.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Mr. Buffman, anything you wish to add?
I would just say welcome to Mr. Cunningham.
And so since Mr. Barlow is not here, we'll turn it over.
I'd like to echo Jennifer's statements. John statements. Darren, welcome to the board. Good evening, board as well. One thing I've got to add today is I want to introduce our newest employee. He started with us at the end of December, Shorty Hunt. He's a jack of all trades, or Swiss Army knife. He's been a great addition to our staff in many different ways, and I wanted to give him the opportunity to introduce himself to y'all.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I'm Shorty Hunt. That is a nickname for me. My proper name is Charles Hunt Jr. I only get called that when I'm in trouble. So, but no, it's an honor to work for Andy and Shane and Matt and Miss Donna. And she runs our place. So, but no, I'm the civil plans reviewer and look forward to working with each and every one of them.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome aboard. You got a great team down there to be working with. So welcome. With that being said, that'll conclude our staff comments. Our next item on the agenda will be our citizen comments. Any citizen is welcome and encouraged to make comment about any item on our agenda. You may speak now, or you may speak when the item is presented to the Planning Commission. We do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And at this time, we will open the floor for citizen comments. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, move forward to our next agenda item. That'll be item 4.1, which will be the minutes approval from the Planning Commission regular meeting on February 25th of 2021. Any changes, amendments, typos, adjustments? Seeing none, I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to that item on our agenda.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. All right, let me make sure. All right. Next item up on our agenda is our consent agenda. Begin with item 5.1, Dollar General cashier's check for the sewer letter of credit, number 1334077, the amount of $5,314.50 can be released. The residences at Mount Juliet Development, letter of credit, number 9041781, 13 in the amount of $20,211.50, and sewer letter of credit number 904-17815 in the amount of $17,577 can be released. Item 5.3, review the plan of services for Hamilton Denson Park located at Tate Lane and West Division Street. Item 5.4, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners, is to review the zoning ordinance amendment for Article 3-104.7, provisions applicable to commercial activities. Item 5.5, review the final plat for Kelsey Glen, Phase 9, located at Zach Road and Hayden Road. Item 5.6, which is also a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners to review the rezone request for 12234 Lebanon Road. Item 5.7, review the site plan for Hickory Station located at 193 and 261 West Main Street. Item 5.9, review the site plan for Weemus Station Number 3 located at 700 Clemens Road. Item 5.10, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners, review the annexation for Weemus Station Number 10 located at 7980 Central Pike. Item 5.11, which is a recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners, review the plan of services for Weemus Station Number 10 located at 7980 Central Pike. Item 5.12, review the site plan for Weemus Station Number 10 located at 7980 Central Pike. Ms. Hamlin.
Thanks. I just wanted to go over a couple of these with you. The plan of services for Hamilton Denson Park has actually already been approved by our Board of Commissioners, and for some reason it just never made it into your packet. So this is basically just to follow the process. Item 5.4, if you guys remember a few months ago, we, Commissioner Justice had an ordinance coming through to remove certain automotive uses out of commercial general zoning classification. The other members on the Board of Commissioners weren't entirely comfortable with removing those uses, and so they requested that we beef up our supplemental provisions rather than removing the use altogether. So this ordinance simply prohibits any of those uses for a lot that abuts a residentially zoned neighbor. Item 5.7 is the site plan for Hickory Station located at 193 and 261 West Main Street. I just wanted to bring to your attention tonight that in approving that, they've asked for a waiver to the commercial design standards to allow the screen wall instead of the parapet height, much like we did for the Heritage Medical Building. And staff supports that. It's intentional and it looks like it's a part of a design element, and we support that. Other than that, staff approves or recommends approval for all of the items listed with our conditions.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Any Public Works comments?
Nothing other than listed in our packets.
Wonderful. Questions or comments from the commission? One second, I just want to take one close look. See no questions this time. We'll call for citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make a comment are welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments this time, I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to the items on our consent agenda. It's a motion?
Second.
A second? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising their hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item on our agenda will be item 5.8, which is review the site plan for the Davis Gennekow property located at 808 and 830 North Mount Juliet Road.
All righty. This is, as you said, 808 and 830 North Mount Juliet Road. This is on the west side of the road. The request before you is a site plan for a 22,316 square foot professional medical office building. As far as planning goes, I know Public Works still has some comments on it. But planning, the big thing with this, for planning, this is a waiver request for a screen wall for the HVAC as well. It looks integral to the building. Looks good. It looks like it's part of the design. It looks fine. Staff supports it. The other thing, I guess somewhat unusual condition is that it's two lots, so they will have to submit a consolidation plat to us prior, or if this gets approved, and we'll process that. We were talking before the meeting that's plat will have to have a cross access easement as we request of all the properties over there as they develop. So that's not a condition right now, but that'll have to be added. I think maybe Public Works will talk about that as well. If not, we would have to have that on there. So yeah, that would be it. We are recommending approval. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get our Public Works comments.
To piggyback off of what John just said, we would like to request a cross-access easement at the front of the property running north and south. And the only other comment we've got is pertaining to number 3 in your packet about one access to Mount Juliet Road. Again, there's nothing in the code that says they can't have 2, but coming from a safety precaution, we eliminate conflict points by having just one access to the drive. And we would like to have that access have 3 turns, sort of say going in, like a right in and a left out and a right out. So it'd be 3 lanes wide. And that's what we'd like to add as our comment to that. But we're really just trying to eliminate conflict on Mount Juliet Road with entry. So that's where our basis for comment number 3 comes from. And that's all we've got.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commission at this time?
I got one question for you. Did you say right in and right out? I may have misunderstood that.
No, sir. It's going to be a 3-lane access to come in. And when you leave, you got a left out and a right out, a dedicated left
Okay.
out and a dedicated right out.
Okay. I'd like to see if we could to have someone from the project. I think that was the last question. Maybe explain what their feelings is on this. I'm real concerned about taking that other driveway out. Is what I'm getting at.
Name and address for the record.
Jessica Gore, Paradesign, 2031 North Mount Juliet Road. We have worked with staff. We feel like we have a good design, but we did want to pull it off consent to discuss the access. We didn't have issue with any of the other comments. And the access easement comment had not been sent to us, but I was contacted after the fact, and we would be happy to put that on the plat when that comes in. I will say regarding the double driveways, our property frontage is 256 feet wide. In the access management portion of the zoning code, a double driveway is allowed with only 150 feet. So we're 100 feet further. And I will say, there had been mention about a cross access conflict. We're not quite as far as the driveway for Mount Juliet First Baptist Church. However, even if that was a consideration, that driveway is going to move approximately 200 feet, I believe, to the south, closer toward Rutland Road. So, we feel like we've tried to be accommodating to what the residents have wanted as far as the rezone. We pulled our rezone request from we had requested originally CTC, which you approved. It went to the Board of Commissioners. There was a lot of resident opposition, so it didn't look like that was going to be viewed favorably, so we pulled that request. So as a result, you're going to get more medical tenants, which I think was desirable by the residents back there. With the medical tenants, even though this is not going to have an urgent care or anything like that I'm aware of at this point, access is very important. Dr. Genevico sees, patients for hearing impairment, and unfortunately, sometimes that's residents that are a little older, and there are always more chances of, somebody having a medical issue while they're with him. I don't think that's a normal occurrence, but having 2 accesses does aid if there is an emergency. And again, their driveway spacing is over 140 feet from their 2 driveways. And if they're restricted to only one, they're barely 100 feet from the next property's driveway. So they're providing more spacing than their driveway to the next spacing. So those are the reasons that we're requesting to keep the 2 driveways. I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you might have about the project. Doctors, I will tell you there is a typo, because I don't want you to be mistaken on one thing. This property is owned by 2 small business owners. Dr. Geneva Coe and his wife own the one lot, and then Doctors Mike, Pete, and Kevin Davis own the other lot. They have an LLC they've established to combine the lots to build their commercial building. There is a typo on your C1 sheet that got left over from another project. There is not a Patel owner for this project. I just wanted to make that clear. It is still your small business owners that want to build and operate here.
Okay, I have no more questions on that.
Commissioner Hefner?
Good evening.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm great.
You know where I'm going with this.
Come on.
The lighting. You know,
Yes.
these back of this parking lot backs right up
Yes.
to houses. Can you talk me through a little bit on LP2? I see the numbers. I'm assuming that's
Right.
the amount of light that's
Right.
coming
There
off
are,
of those.
that is when they're fully lit. There are strict requirements from our zoning code when you are against residential as to what your lighting requirement can be at that property line. That gets reviewed as part of our plan. I will tell you that I did discuss with the owner that we might want to put those lights on a timer just as an extra accommodation. I don't think we want the parking lot to be black at night. I think we do need some security lighting. It's not unusual to have some commercial lighting where there is some security lighting in that when those operation hours die down, then you only have maybe a couple of lights on in the parking lot rather than the entire parking lot lit. But there are accommodations for residential, and they've been made here.
Okay. So you would be willing to put them on a timer?
I believe they would. That will be an operational issue, but we will definitely pass that along to the owner.
The other concern I have with the lighting, I'm looking at the plantation, I guess the LP landscape plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see some evergreens in the back, 12 to 14 feet in height.
How high?
And I'm sorry, 12 to 14. I think that we've got some in here that we could probably just replace that are not evergreens. And I'll go with staff's recommendation on as far as which ones. And I'm talking about the back side of the property.
On the residential side?
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Not for obvious reasons.
Could
right?
we work with Jennifer on that?
Absolutely.
Okay. We can accommodate that.
And then you're fine with the easement on the north and south side?
We are.
Okay.
I did ask that staff send us a PDF of the adjacent development so that we could work with that. But yes, we'll make sure that's on the plat.
Okay.
I got a real quick question for you, Jessica. Just because it's not shown on the plan, your parking lot striping, other than the crosswalk right there, do you, just to make it a little bit smoother for everything you've said and everything that staff has said right there, they're going to be one way in, one way out, or cross traffic at both entrances. So you can either enter at either entrance, you can exit at either entrance. Can we make sure that we get striping on the ground right there that includes stop bars?
Yes.
Just to clear it up a little bit.
That's one more question.
Please.
Was there ever any consideration, since two driveways were there, in other words, this was not a new property, there was just one property, and you're trying to cut two driveways instead of, and it apparently don't violate any laws or rules as far as being 140 feet apart. Was there ever any thought of it, one entrance, one of the drives be for an entrance and the other drive be possibly made for the exit? Or should have an entrance and an exit. It was,
We didn't because we have two-way traffic around the building. And also, if you have an entrance only and an exit only, then that really kind of negates the emergency access. If they're, I mean, they would come in anyway. If it was an exit, they would come in the exit. But I think that would make it a little bit difficult for people. I do think that when people are going left, they will likely go out the northern access to get further away from, Northwest Rutland. But with that being a 5-lane highway, no driveways across the street, I really don't think it's going to be an issue.
I understand that.
Thank you.
And that's all I've got. As far as asking her questions, I
Sure.
do want to make a further statement.
Please,
Okay.
the floor is yours.
No more questions. When I first seen this, I did some checking to see if, of course, if we had any regulations or anything in the city that would prohibit that. Then keeping in mind now that there's two driveways already been approved with the state and they're there. You see the traffic and different things in Mount Juliet where people's going in and out of these small intersections. Of course, this would be a large deal. But you pull up there, you got left turns, right turns, and people getting into the turn lane. The second exit, well, it wouldn't be an exit, but the second one, it would at least give the people the opportunity to turn into the next one driveway, which is 145 feet away from it, and not sit there in the turn lane trying to get in with cars coming out and going in both, different directions there. And you see them all tied up. You sit behind, one in the turn lane, maybe 5 in the turn lane. I rode these roads in Mount Juliet for almost 30 years as a police officer. In the grade, right in the beginning, I very seldom have ever mentioned this in this board. But with the experience that I've got and the advice that I would have given to a city manager or anyone else or to this board, when I was the chief of police, that I would say, don't take that driveway out. I believe it could work. It's a tough distance for it. And that is why I have taken this really so much personal. I've got no dog in the fight, but I truly hate to see this driveway come out and go to one driveway in the middle. Well, one of them would on the far end of either end. I went and looked at it today and I said, it's ideal. I certainly will vote to and recommend a motion to approve this with the two driveways, but we're not at that point yet.
Sure.
And that's where I stand on it.
Great. Thank you. Further questions or comments? Wonderful. This time, I'd like to call for citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make comment are welcome and encouraged to do so. And please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments this time, I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda.
I'll be happy to make that motion to approve with the two driveways staying with it. In other words, I don't know exactly what wording you do need. Approve without the one driveway being taken out.
Basically,
And that's my motion.
to approve it as submitted on the
With
site plan.
staff comments.
I'd like to second your motion, but I'd like to add a few things to it, if that's okay with you. I'd like to add that the cross-access easement be added per staff's request. Add the evergreen trees to be worked with the developer and staff per Commissioner Hefner. The striping on each entrance and exit on each side right there. And the commitment that the lighting will be put on timers. Did I capture all that? Wonderful. And is that okay to add to your motion?
Yes, sir.
It gives us a motion and a second then. That does include
Thank
your
you.
waiver for the screen wall. Yes, ma'am. Yes, please, please.
The other question I may have about in regards to the lighting, is there the lighting in the rear of the development? Is there anything in the plans, or is there something being planned where there is a, I guess I would call it a dome shield on the lights? That what that does, it prevents the light from going a certain direction, which will be towards the residents. And it's a simple shield that can go over the lighting. And it only goes to the parking lot and outward.
Those commercial fixtures are full cutoff fixtures, so they don't spread the light in a circular pattern. They're thrown toward the parking lot lighting.
Okay.
So I think it alleviates the concern that you have.
Got it.
Great.
Thank you.
Is that okay? That's a great comment. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item on our agenda is item 7.1, which would be to review the zoning ordinance amendment, Article 8, overlay districts. Ms. Hamel.
Hi. We are still trying to clean up our ordinance amendment where we set a minimum acreage of 20 acres for RM8 and RM16 for those zoning classifications. This simply alleviates the avenue for the applicant to ask for a variance for that acreage. Our current ordinance states that the Board of Commissioners has the authority to grant that variance should the applicant ask to do so. And this is just cleaning that up. So that would require them to come in with 20 acres minimum rather than continue to submit to us projects that do not meet that minimum acreage. For instance, yesterday I got an application for 7 acres on Lebanon Road to be rezoned to RM8. So this just cleans up some of that ordinance amendment.
This is a recommendation item back to
It
the
is a
Board of Commissioners.
recommendation item back to the Board of Commissioners. Yes, sir.
Questions or comments? Commissioner Hefner?
Although I like the ability, sitting on the VOC, to be able to make changes, I do support this for the very reason you just stated. I don't want to see a lot of, 5 acre, 10 acre parcels. I don't want to get into that. So I do support this.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me add it last minute. It's just really
ma'am.
important, and we already have one tracking through the BOC, and I'd like to run those together. So thanks for letting me add it tonight.
Good pickup, good catch. Further questions or comments? Seeing no additional comments this time, we'll call for citizen comments. Any citizen wishing to make comments, welcome and encouraged to do so. Come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments, I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda.
I'll make a motion for a positive recommendation to the BOC.
It's a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions. So before we adjourn real quick, and I asked for that, I just realized looking at my agenda that I need to clean up an item on my agenda because of my fault. Item 5.5 requires a public hearing. Am I within rules to back up and do that public hearing, Mr. Michaels?
I think in this instance you are.
Okay. So with that being said, we would like to adjourn our planning commission meeting in order to open a public hearing. The public hearing is in regards to item 5.5, which is review the final plat for Kelsey Glen Phase 9 located at Zach Road and Hayden Road. Anyone wishing to make comment during the public hearing is welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, we will close our public hearing, reopen our planning commission meeting, at which the next item on our agenda, I am seeking a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion and a second over here. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising their hand. Aye, against, abstentions. We are adjourned.
Is that a